Hey Walleye Wisdom watchers, this is Gary Speicher reporting from the Walleye Wisdom headquarters in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And standing next to me in this handsome new pro shirt is my co-angler partner and good friend Tracy Hayward. Tracy, good looking shirt, pal.
Well, thank you.
It's got Walleye Wisdom here. It's got Walleye Wisdom there. It's got Walleye Wisdom there. Got the NPAA number right there, folks. Tracy's name is right there, National Guard FLW, and we're really proud of his service in the U.S. Navy. He's even got that on the shirt. Where did you end up getting that shirt, Trace?
Gemini, where you told me to get it.
Gemini, our good friends Scott and Marty Glorvigan up in northern Minnesota, folks. So, Tracy, here we are together in the office, talking a little bit today about where we are at the end of two tournaments, folks. We fished up at Red Wing, Minnesota. We fished at Port Clinton, Ohio. We just got back a week ago Sunday from Port Clinton. And in early July, we're going to head off to Lake Oahe out of Pierce, South Dakota. But we thought we'd share with you as a part of our wrap-up some of the things that we were doing out at Port Clinton. Tracy's brought some props in, some actual things to show you. So Tracy, take over.
Alrighty. When we set our game plan to go out to Lake Erie, we thought that we would like to catch most of our fish on crankbaits, reef runners.
Yep.
Reason being, reef runner in the past has been a terrific bait for us out there, and it's got a double set of treble hooks on it, so you get really nice hookup percentage with them. And we did catch fish on the reef runners, but it wasn't the most productive pattern that we found. What we ended up doing was we used a worm harness setup, a double hook, blade. You hook a worm on the end through the first hook and then stretch the worm out as straight as you could and hook the second hook. And this was a more productive pattern that we found than the crankbaits. The issue with this is your hookup percentage is not near as good as we found.
Yeah, as we found. And folks, what happened out there in the time from when we first started practice that Thursday until tournament day, the water continued to warm up. And these walleyes that we were attempting to catch and suspended in the water column, they weren't relating to the crankbait bite. I think our biggest fish, though, came on a crankbait on the worst weather day, that Saturday when we were out there in 4 to 6 footers. But we had to adjust our tactics, and virtually, I think every tournament boat was catching fish on the spinner setup.
Yes, they were, and I heard a lot of talk about missed bites.
Okay.
Boards just being buried, and you'd fight a fish for a while and it'd just be gone. Well, Gary and I discovered something out there. I'd never seen it before. I don't know if you had seen it before. The walleyes were actually hanging on the blade.
Yes.
They were biting on the blade and not on the hooks. And this has it's called a quick change clevis, and it's just a piece of plastic. And so you can pop the blade off and put a new one on to change colors. And we would get walleyes up to the boat, and all of a sudden they would be gone. And the blade would be gone. And we actually ended up seeing one just hanging on the blade. So that kind of explained why we were missing quite a few bites.
Yeah, folks, we've never had the experience where the walleyes would come up and actually bite on the attractant, the blade. Here was a pretty color right here. This was kind of a purple with some spots, and we were using some of Ryan Hoyer's custom baits. And I got to tell you, folks, there's several walleyes that are swimming around with some of Ryan's baits in their mouth because that's what they bit on. They didn't bite on the hooks, they actually bit on the blade that was spinning.
Yes, they did.
What were some of the other things that we found out there, Trace?
Well, I fished the first day of the tournament with a man from Chicago, and he used something I had never used before. And it was called a wobble spoon set up with a worm rig on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very productive for us. And what this does is, it has a slow wobble going through the water.
Mm-hmm.
And up at the front, it might only move a little bit.
Single hook on the front.
Single hook. Another little trick they used was a treble hook on the back for a better hookup percentage. But the back of the worm would swing quite a bit behind the wobble.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a little more subtle than using the spinner blade on it. And it was productive for us. So, of course, the kind of person I am, I'm going to make some of these, and we're going to continue to buy them. How you buy them is, at Cabela's you can buy these. They're called a walleye spoon, and they come with a treble hook on them. You simply take the treble hook off, and you tie on the worm harness.
Very good.
And I think this could be just something else you add to your arsenal, something a little more subtle than the spinner itself. But I think you'll catch fish with it, because we certainly did.
Yeah, and we're gonna have setups like this, folks, for not only Lake Oahe coming up in July, but I think we're gonna want these setups, Tracy, up there in Green Bay, when we're up there fishing the northern part of Green Bay out of Escanaba. So we'll have that set up. Anything else that you wanted to show folks?
Well, when we were doing our inline, our worm harnesses,
Yep.
you have to have a sinker to take them down.
Yep.
And we used a couple of different systems. One is a snap sinker with a snap weight on it, and depending on your speed and how deep you want.
Hey, Walleye Wisdom watchers, sorry about that interruption. The iPhone camera said that we were full up with other videos, so we had to delete a few. We're back here with co-angler and good friend Tracy Hayward, talking about what we were doing at Port Clinton, Ohio to catch fish. Tracy, you were just going to talk about a couple other items here.
Well, these are the weights that we used out in Port Clinton, or I used in the actual tournament days to get our baits down. And again, this was a simple snap weight, and you can do it with different weights on it, and again, with your speed and the weight determines how deep your lure will be running. And so,
yep, we were using, folks, what's 50-50 system developed by Mark Bromanok in his precision trolling book. And so there's a chart in that book that tells you that if you have a half ounce or a 1 ounce or a 1.5 or a 2 ounce or a 3 ounce, whatever the weight is, you let 50 feet of line out, snap this weight on the line, let another 50 feet out, attach it to your planer board, and it gives you an approximation based on your speed how far down that spinner rig is going in the water column. So this is one way that worked. Now you found another way that worked maybe even better in your boat.
well, these are called an inline weight, and it's a style that I'm just now becoming familiar with, and they're shaped like a bait fish. And you simply hook at this end up to your rod, and this end you put your lure on. And again, it's basically the same formula. You let out so much line with so much weight at so much speed determines how deep you're going to be. Now the interesting piece about this is we were talking about the fish biting the blades on our harnesses.
Yeah.
We found exactly the same thing with these weights.
Fish were biting the bait or the weight?
The fish were biting the weight. The way you knew that is when you come in, there are big teeth marks all over the weight, nothing back on the hook. And out in Port Clinton, when we're in a bait shop, I actually saw these weights with a hook on them.
Aha!
So that tells me that happens quite often. The issue you have with that is you have to be careful, because when you put a hook on this weight, it now becomes a lure.
Yes, it does.
And so that could get you in a little trouble if you're not doing it legally.
Yep. Well, folks, these are some good tips and tricks on how to catch walleyes in these big open water venues, places like Lake Erie. And we're going to try this out at Lake Oahe. Coming up on July 1st, Tracy and I will be on the road for that short 12-hour drive up to Pierre, South Dakota. And we're going to be fishing the National Guard FLW Walleye Tour event the following week. And that's going to be that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'll be able to catch all the action on FLW Outdoors, where they're going to be streaming live the weigh-ins. So you're going to be able to, and if you want to, you can go to walleyewisdom.com. We've got a link to FLW Outdoors. You can go right to the site and check out how we're doing. But I do want to give you an update. Right now, at the end of the two tournaments, Tracy Hayward is in 21st place for points toward the championship. So Tracy, you've got 218 points. If you stay, and you will, if Tracy will stay in the top 40, the cutoff right now is 182 points to be in the top 40 for the championship event. So our goal is to get through these next two tournaments, make sure that Tracy, and also Glenn Vinton's traveling co-angler partner this year, Ryan Hoyer, and Ryan's out of Fall River, Wisconsin. Ryan's in 14th place with 236 points. So both you and Ryan are in good shape for the championship.
Yes, we are.
So we'll keep it going for you boys. Now, where we are on the pro side, working toward the championship, and I wish I was on the first page sheet, but I'm not. I'm on about the third page sheet. So down here in 80, let me check it, 81st place, folks, out of the 140 some touring pros, I'm currently in 81st place with 130 points toward the FLW championship, and that cutoff right now on the pro side is 187 points. So it's interesting. The difference in points between the pros and cos is really based upon the pros that Tracy draws during the tournament events. Our points on the pro side are based on how we actually do in the 2 tournament events. So I'm hoping to move up to the top 40 along with our travel partner Glenn Vinton. Glenn is sitting, I believe, in about 95th place. And we have some news for you. We've added 2 partners for the remaining 2 events. We're going to have Mike Sierra from Cedar Rapids and Steve Miller from Cedar Rapids are going to be joining the WalleyeWisdom.com fishing team along with Victor Wood from South Dakota. Victor's going to be joining us for the event at Pier and hopefully will be joining us for the event up at Escanaba. So folks, on behalf of all the WalleyeWisdom.com fishing team members, as we head off to Pier, South Dakota, wish us luck. We'll look forward to sharing videos from pre-fishing. We'll look forward to sharing pictures during the actual fishing.
Yes.
And then I'm going to grab the camera from Sue, because Sue, I want to have everybody see. And folks, take a look at this one. Here we go. There's a picture of the fish we caught our first day of practice out at Lake Oahe last year. A nice 30-plus inch fish. I'm hoping we can catch another one like that. And Tracy, what do you think, pal? Can we do it?
Oh, I know we can do it. We're going to try some new tactics this year, stuff that worked for the people that won the tournament last year. And I think we have everything in place to do that, and it'll be interesting because we're going to get the boat a little more involved.
Yeah.
We're actually going to use the boat to hook up some fish. So
Yep.
it'll be fun trying it, and it'll be good to report back and let everybody know how that works.
You bet. And thanks for modeling that beautiful shirt on a, oh, should I say beautiful angler? Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks, Gary.